Leeds United right now have a hell of a lot to think about because their owner, Massimo Cellino, has been disqualified from owning Leeds United by the Football League. This is from December 1st, 2014. Massimo Cellino has been disqualified from owning Leeds United after the Football League announced the Italian has failed its owners and directors test. The Italian won an appeal against the league's decision to block his takeover of the club in April, but after receiving detailed evidence from the Italian court that convicted him of tax evasion, the governing body has ruled he is not fit to continue as the club's president and he could now be forced to sell the club. The league's board of directors agreed unanimously at a meeting last week after finally receiving the Italian judge's written report on Cellino's conviction for failing to pay tax on his yacht. That Cellino is subject to a disqualifying condition under the terms of the test. Cellino has been told he must resign from his position immediately and has 14 days in which to lodge any appeal, but should the decision be upheld, the sanction will apply until March 18th, 2015, when under UK law the conviction is deemed to be spent. The league has also asked an independent disciplinary commission to consider whether Cellino and or Leeds breached league regulations by not disclosing relevant information in a timely manner. The Football League said in a statement at its meeting last week, the board considered the reasoned judgment of the Italian court against Mr. Cellino, having successfully applied to the Italian courts for its full disclosure. The board considered detailed legal advice and agreed unanimously that Mr. Cellino is subject to a disqualifying condition under the terms of the owners and directors test. As the judgment of the Italian court has not been published in Italy, the Football League will not make any of its contents public. Now, it's one of them was now in reaching now basically a little bit more detail about that. The disqualifying condition basically Massimo Cellino was found guilty of an offence under Italian tax legislation relating to the non-payment of import duties on a boat, which resulted in him being fined €600,000. In April 2014, the decision was successfully appealed by Mr. Cellino at a hearing of the PCC, Professional Conduct Committee, chaired by an independent QC sitting alone. In reaching his verdict, Tim Kerr QC concluded that Mr. Cellino has satisfied me that on the facts before me, what he was convicted of was not conduct which would reasonably be considered to be dishonest, before going on to state that if the reasoned ruling of the court in Cagliari discloses that the conduct of Mr. Cellino was such that it would be reasonably considered to be dishonest, he would become subject to a disqualifying condition. So basically, with this, apparently Cellino actually is going to appeal it. Can't blame him, to be honest. Additionally, the board concluded that it was appropriate to ask an independent football disciplinary commission, FDC, to consider whether Mr. Cellino and or Leeds United breached league regulations. So, in terms of handing over the information in a timely manner. Now, the thing with this, the interesting thing with this, March 2015 is actually not that far away. I've got a birthday in that month. It's not that far away. It's 4 months. So by the time he's appealed, by the time all that's been heard, he could actually be eligible within like 2-3 months of trying to own Leeds again. But if you got stung once, why would you want to get stung again? Which is some of the debate that I said to Russ Vernon, one of our regulars. It's one of them ones where it's kind of like, why would you want to get burnt twice? But he's been convicted twice of fraud anyway. So tax evasion, fraud, not. I mean, especially when you're rich, why are you evading taxes? You don't need to. But the fact of the matter is, the crap's hit the fan. The crap's hitting the fan, and Leeds United will suffer because of this. Because if the Football League end up finding Leeds United have breached league regulations relating to the timely disclosure of the information, because obviously if this information has been delayed deliberately just so that Cellino can buy Leeds United, run Leeds United, potentially run it into the ground and muck up a lot of things, because he has mucked up quite a bit already in the 4 or 5 months he's owned it. The fact of the matter is, that's obviously going to be looked upon as foul play and chicanery. to which Leeds are going to get punished for it, and Cellino will probably just take the punishment and bugger off, leaving Leeds United in the lurch again. So I think there are some Leeds fans who are trying to say that the Sky Bet Football League are corrupt. No. You need to point them guns inwards and look at your owner in terms of being corrupt. The dude's been convicted of fraud twice. In the words of Diamond Dallas Page, he's a two-time convicted fraudster. So it's one of them ones. The fact that he's been convicted of the same thing twice, he's been convicted of fraud twice, that has always raised alarm bells to me. When we heard on this show that he was trying to take over Leeds, we were like, no, he should not be allowed anywhere near a club. If you've been convicted of fraud, I wouldn't want you running a amateur league football club tour, let alone running a football club. I wouldn't want you running a bath, let alone a bloody football club. So it's a case of the Cellino thing I've never agreed with anyway. But obviously we've got Russ Vernon, who's one of our regulars, who at first was like, no, we don't want Cellino. Then he changed and was like, yeah, Cellino in. Then it was like, not really keen on it. Then it was like, and it's like, oh God. And we did ask the question a few weeks ago, do you believe in Cellino? And we eventually got to the answer, and Russ said yes. It's a case of, if the reasoned ruling of the court in Cagliari discloses that the conduct of Mr. Cellino was such that it would be reasonably considered to be dishonest, he would become subject to a disqualifying condition. Well, it's now seen to be dishonest, so he's subject to a disqualifying condition, and he's basically got to sell up the club. He's got 14 days to appeal. If he does appeal, obviously he's going to drag it out because he's not going to want to let go of Leeds, because these owners see football clubs as cash cows. But the fact of the matter is, I've never looked at Cellino and thought, yeah, he'd be a good person to run a club. And it's very interesting that it's months later that people are coming back and saying, all right, nah, this dude needs to go. We just got a text through from Ross Vernon, actually. Hi, Liam, Gman Gezzie, and the Skypers. Home from hospital since just after 6. We'll listen from tennis. Ross Vernon. #LUFC. Big shout out to Ross Vernon, by the way. 07535 804 466. 07535 804 466 is the mobile number. Call us, text us, let us know your views. Skypers, if you want to jump in on this, let us know as well. But this whole Cellino thing, I think is a cluster F of epic proportions. The thing is, he's already been buggering over the club anyway, and it's just gotten even worse. It's just getting even worse, and he's essentially dragging the name of the club through the mud as well. So it's an interesting. Tom Wood, what was that you said in the Skype chat about Cellino?
It's basically just ruining the football, to be honest. Keep chopping and changing managers. But Alan's Redfern going to last. Is he going to be there for the rest of there until he's gone till Cellino's gone? Who knows?
This is the thing that I also posted on Russ's FB page, when he was like, what does this mean? Where someone put on his page, what does this mean for Leeds? And I was like, it means that Leeds are potentially buggered again, because the turmoil already that Cellino's caused himself, in terms of, well, the turmoil he caused taking over in the first place, the turmoil he's caused by getting rid of 3-4 managers in the space of a couple of months, and now this turmoil of him potentially being booted out of his position by the Football League because he's not paying tax on a yacht. It's a case of, first and foremost, if you've got a yacht, you've got enough money to pay taxes on it. I just want to say that. But also the fact of the matter is, why I just don't get when people who are rich or wealthy dodge taxes. That's one thing that has always baffled me. That has always really confused me. It's like saying, oh, I'm in poverty, but you got a 42-inch TV that you just bought on Black Friday, and it's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. It's one of them. It's just like a chocolate teapot. It doesn't make sense. It's like Sepp Blatter saying anything. Doesn't make sense. Right. I mean, Tom Wood, you wanted to mention something about Southend in relation to this?
Yeah, in a way, it's just sort of what's going on with our club. Like, 1 minute we're saying we're going to get our stadium, which is like happened like ages ago when we was in the Championship, and ever since, like, everyone mentions about it, they don't. Like, there's nothing been brought up recently about it. Like, because we're sort of basically owned by Sainsbury's, but in a way, like, they've bought our stadium, and at the end of the day, if they want to move into our like kick us out of the club, then we've got nowhere to go, to be honest. It's the chairman's fault, to be honest, with us. But in a way, I want a new stadium, but in a way I don't. But I want to stay where we are, but I don't know where we're going to end up going.
I mean, Jamie Bailey, you wanted to jump in on this as well.
Yeah, basically the reason why I wanted to jump in, I can see everybody's gripe about what's going on with the whole Leeds United situation, but
which we want to stay on, yeah.
Yeah, I see. It happened at Fulham, and Arsenal are pretty much in a position where they can pretty much buy their own players now. Which, if you're still Wenger, then it's not going to happen.
Well, let's not stick on that, but of course it's relating to Leeds.
No, all right. With Fulham and Shahida Khan, he bought the club last year, and everybody kind of saw the turmoil that was going through. And when he kept Felix Magath in, it pretty much destroyed the club. But I think it destroyed the club in a good way, because all of the players that have come through now, that Kit Simmons has brought through, pretty much are thriving on the pressure of Championship football. And I think in general, this whole money laundering thing, if Shahida Khan had not, I think Shahida Khan has left everything to what Kit Simmons wants, from first team to I think the under 16s, I think. So he's just basically looking at it and saying, well, I control the finances, and I'll leave the other side to you. So I think within the structure of things, if Leeds actually had a stability in terms of management on the pitch, and then somebody to work with Cellino off of it, it might just keep it away from what's actually going on.
But then the thing is, you can't get any sort of managerial stability if there's no stability with ownership. Because at the end of the day, you look at I've brought this up before in terms of WCW in the early 90s. They kept changing the head booker, from your Dusty Rhodes to Jim Hurd to Cowboy Bill Watts. They kept changing things, and if there's no consistency at the top, then you're not going to get consistency anywhere else. I mean, if you've got a revolving door of ownership, let alone a revolving door of management, they work hand in hand. Look at Portsmouth when their ownership was being passed around more than chlamydia at a teenage party. It's a case of the ownership kept changing hands. I think it was something like 8 owners in 2 years. As I've said before, I don't even know how you get the paperwork through that fast. But you've had that, and then you can't keep traction with managers, because if everything above you is changing, you're on shaky ground, you're on shaky foundations. And this is what Leeds have been finding out over the past 15 years. That's why they've been up and down in the Championship and never been able to get back to the Premier League, because they've not had the consistency there, and it doesn't look like they're going to get the consistency anytime soon either.
I think Leeds should actually just go and do what Portsmouth did, and literally just get the club, the fans just to own the club again, because it seems like it worked for them before, and after Ken Bates actually took over, I think the problems kind of started there, or even before then, Peter Ridsdale and all those guys there.
Well, yeah, it was the Ridsdale thing back in like 2001, where Leeds kind of really, they thought they'd hit the big time, they overspent, and it all collapsed pretty quickly. But the thing is, could the Leeds fans afford to own and run the club?
I think they can.
I mean, Portsmouth are doing it now, and they've only just come out of debt in the past month or two. But the fact of the matter is, Leeds would be saddled with a hell of a lot of stuff.
But I think they can. If there's how many fans around the world that still support Leeds, and how many fans that still go to the stadium, just do exactly what Portsmouth did, and hopefully, if it does take a couple of relegations, then fine. The same thing with what I'm saying with Fulham. It took a relegation just to realise that we needed to start thinking ahead rather than thinking in the moment.
Well, see, the Fulham thing I think is slightly different because there was a change in because of the change in ownership. Mohamed Al Fayed had been in charge of that club so long. Anyone coming in Shahid Khan came in and started trying to change stuff instantly, and it destabilized the club. So I think that's a little bit of a different issue. But the fact of the matter is, Cellino is legitimately in hot water legally, so he's got to watch out.